So this is a basic video. I'm just gonna go over the chambers of the heart here. I'll go over the chambers of the heart. I'll go over the things separating each chamber, and I'll go more specifically into the atria and the ventricles. Nothing too in depth though. It's just a basic video. So firstly, there's four chambers of the heart: two superior atria and two inferior ventricles. As you see, right atrium here, left atrium here, right ventricle here, left ventricle there. Alright, so the heart is divided right and left by the interatrial septum on top and the interventricular septum on bottom. The interatrial septum separates the atria, and the interventricular septum separates the ventricles. Something cool you could say about the interatrial septum is the presence of the fossa ovalis, which is the remnant of the foramen ovale of the fetal heart. And the foramen ovale is essentially just a hole right here in the interatrial septum that allowed blood to go straight from the right atrium directly into the left atrium without needing to go into the right ventricle. Essentially, this has allowed for the fetus to bypass the pulmonary circulation because the blood got oxygenated by its mother anyways. Alright, so now I'm just going to go a little bit more specifically into the atria, which are the receiving chambers, in that they receive blood. So, in both atrias, they have a mostly smooth internal wall, and in the right atrium, blood enters from the vena cava, and in the left atrium, blood enters from the pulmonary veins, which come from the lungs. And both atria have weaker contraction than the ventricles because blood, once it enters the atria, just through gravity, it'll just fall down into the ventricles without much force being needed to propel it forward. Alright, so more specifically into the ventricles, which are known as the discharge chambers, and that once blood accumulates in the ventricles, blood is shot out and discharged out of the heart. And like I said before, ventricles have a stronger contraction than atria because, as opposed to the atria, which simply receive blood and just which falls into the ventricles actually have to contract to shoot the blood out of the heart. So it has a stronger contraction there. And the right ventricle pumps blood into the pulmonary arteries and towards the lungs so the blood can get oxygenated. And the left ventricle pumps into the aorta and eventually reaches the rest of the body. And the oxygenated blood just supplies the body of the oxygen it needs and the nutrients it needs as well.